Can you find these 3 special ingredients for our dessert?
Asked the young man's mother.
Go and ask the monks for them.
The young man read the list of the 3 ingredients and started on his way to the monastery. After several hours of walking, he came to the monastery door and knocked. The abbot answered,
"Yes, my pilgrim. May I help you?"
"My mother has sent me here to find these 3 ingredients." The young man showed the abbot the list.
"Why, yes, come in,"
answered the abbot. He passed through the kitchen where a brother was fixing the Friday meal. "Do you have these 3 ingredients, sir?" asked the young man.
"These are not ingredients that I have ever seen. Ask the abbot, my son,"
replied the brother. The monks prayed, and the young man listened to the psalms being sung. And after complying, the young man asked the abbot about the ingredients once again. "Father, I asked the brother over the kitchen for these ingredients, and he said he could not give them to me."
"In the garden is hidden what you look for, son. But with your eyes, I don't think you will see them."
Now, searching the garden for many days, it was true, the young man could not find these 3 special ingredients. "But perhaps, with God, I will find wisdom, and then that which I seek." That was the thought of the young man. "And perhaps, if I were a monk, I would find success." Now the young man did become a monk, and he prayed in the garden and waited on the Lord to answer his prayer for 3 special ingredients. And one day, while praying for help and search, he discovered a swan. The swan was beautiful and strong, and on its back it carried the young man up and away from the monastery. "Where are you taking me?" the young man asked.
To where you have asked God to bring you, to your 3 ingredients.
Many miles passed under the breast of the swan as the sun faded and the moon resumed its nightward march. On the back of the swan the young man slept, and when he awoke, he was lying on the ground. He was surprised to see he was no longer a young man, but a small, short-haired, brown groundhog. "What has happened to me?" cried the young monk.
You mustn't worry. Here is a friend to help you now. Good luck on your journey.
So good to see you, my friend.
A small squirrel took the young monk's paw and ushered the groundhog into the foyer in a tree stump.
Put your hat there.
The confused groundhog did as he was told.
There, you understand soon enough.
The young monk looked about the underground home. It was cozy and comfortable. He followed the squirrel down the hall to 2 large doors and a great cavernous room.
Tea is ready. My wife has a treat for you, Mr. Brown. Do you mind if I call you Mr. Brown?
Sounds of laughter and chatter and delicious smells wafted about the miniature young monk. Before he realized it, he was chattering with the other squirrels and chipmunks like an old friend. He was seeing the animal world with new eyes.
Here you are, my dearest.
The gray squirrel's wife smiled and placed before him a bowl of miniature pecans. They were golden brown and smelled heavenly. They were beyond any nut he had ever imagined.
I think these were what you had asked the abbot for,
smiled the lovely squirrel. The young monk placed the pecans in his coat pocket and sipped his tea. He had his first ingredient for the dessert. The next morning he said his goodbyes and stepped out of the little tree trunk into the grass. Strangely, the grass was extremely tall. What has happened to me? Am I a ladybug? The young monk was terrified to see the world so large about him. His arms were a spotted shell of red and black.
Why, you are finally small enough to notice what you have missed,
came the reply of a bright blue dragonfly hovering above the monk.
See, look there among the rocks.
The dragonfly lighted upon a branch, and amongst the rocks on the bank of the river were crystals of sea salt. Why, they're like diamonds, stammered the young ladybug. And a bullfrog croaked and leapt from a nearby bank. The monk was amazed. The sea salts were the second ingredient he needed for his mother's dessert. Just then, the blue dragonfly swept by.
Follow me.
She shouted. The dragonfly burst out above the flowing water and up a stream. With a blur of wings, the monk flew after her.
Here, do as I do.
Down to a narrow brook the dragonfly flew, skimming the very top of the water for a drink. Off again she shot. The ladybug flew after her, with his mouth just touching the water, and he shook with delight. It tastes like caramel.
Delicious, isn't it? It's the lilies of the valley mixed with the salt water and sun.
You have found the third ingredient I need. He put the salts and nuts he had gathered from the squirrels and toad and put them in a pouch for his mother. And back at the monastery garden, the young man leaned over the salty brook near the lily of the valleys and skimmed off the caramel-flavored water. How had he missed so many small and wonderful things? Perhaps he needed to slow down, to become aware of what was around him. The best ingredients come from the garden, my son, smiled the abbot to the contemplative young monk. My mother will love these for her dessert.
Finally back home, he sat with his mother by a cozy fire, enjoying the salt, sweet deliciousness of pecan caramel bars. From the garden monastery to your table, enjoy a salted pecan bar today.
Fighting